Semi-automatic pistols uses the recoil or gas pressure from the fired round to eject the spent casing, cock the hammer or striker, and load the next round. One round fired per trigger pull. Magazine fed usually 7 to 17 rounds. The semi-automatic pistols faster reloads. Magazine can be swapped quickly. Slimmer profile, more complex than revolvers. May jam if poorly maintained or fed low-quality ammo. Revolver uses a rotating cylinder with multiple chambers, usually 5 to 7 to hold cartridge. In a single action, hammer must be manually cocked by each shot. In double action, pulling the trigger's cock releases the hammer. Revolver very reliable, simple mechanics, slower reload unless using a speed loader, and typically heavier triggers in double action mode. Bolt-action rifles, manually operated by lifting, pulling back, and pushing forward a bolt to chamber and eject rounds. Bolt-action rifles, extremely accurate and powerful, very reliable, common in hunting and long-range shooting. Slower rate of fire. Lever-action rifles, it is operated by lever below the receiver. The user cycles it forward and back to eject and load a new round. It is fast cycling compared to bolt action, often used with pistol calibers. Iconic Old West styles. Tubular magazine limits use of certain bullet types. Semi-automatic rifles uses gas or recoil from the fired round to automatically eject the casing and load the next round. A semi-automatic rifles, one shot per trigger pull. It is fast rate of fire. Magazine fed, typically 10 to 30 rounds. It is more complex than bolt or lever guns. Common for self-defense, sport shooting, and hunting. Automatic rifles use military only. It is fired continuously while the trigger is held down. Automatic rifles extremely fast rate of fire, high recoil and heat build-up. It is usually selective fire, can switch between semi, burst, or full auto. It is heavily restricted or banned for civilian use. Pump-action shotguns. The user manually pumps the fore and back and forward to eject the shell and chamber a new one. It is very reliable, works with different loads like birdshot, buckshot, and slugs. Usually holds 5 to 8 shells in a tubular magazine and slower than semi-auto. Break-action shotguns. The barrels open for manually loading and unloading. It is extremely simple and durable, and often have 2 barrels like double barrel. Limited capacity, 1 or 2 shots before reloading. It is popular for sport shooting and hunting. Semi-automatic shotguns uses gas or recoil to cycle the action. It is faster firing than pump or break action, slightly more prone to fouling, jamming if not cleaned. The magazine fed or tube fed, used in tactical, hunting, and competition contexts. Submachine guns. It is fully automatic or selective fire, using pistol caliber cartridge. It is compact and controllable. Useful in close quarters. Magazine fed. The example is MP5 or Uzi, mostly used by military police. Machine guns. It is fired continuously as long as the trigger is held. It is high rate of fire, belt fed or box magazine fed. It is heavier and often crew serve. Restricted to military law enforcement. Carbines. It is shorter barreled rifles, sometimes using intermediate cartridge. is lighter and more maneuverable than full rifles, often semi-automatic or select fire. The example is M4 carbine. PDW, or Personal Defense Weapons. It is designed for compactness and ease of use with armor-penetrating capabilities. It is used in small caliber, high-velocity rounds, and compact, often automatic or burst-capable. The example is FNP-90.
When the gun is fired, gunshot residues released. This leaves a trace on the shooter, target, and gun and the spent casing, all of which can help investigator. One of the main uses of gunshot residue is to help reveal if someone fired a gun. Paraffin test or dermal nitrate test. It is the oldest test in existence and was designed to check for residue on the hands. The hands were coated with paraffin or wax, and then the paraffin was tested with delphilamine. If the wax turns blue, nitrate is present. Nitrate is the most common unburned part of the gunpowder residue. Next one, the grease test. It was a test to assist with the measurement of distances and angles. The examiner presses a photographic paper into the surfaces near the target, then sprays the papers with sodium rhodizonate. If the paper appears pink to violet in color, nitrate is present. Harrison-Hilroy test. It is a test does not check for nitrate at all, but for antimony, barium, and lead using the same paper color change indicator. Orange color indicates antimony. If the color changes to red by adding sodium rhodizonate, lead or barium is present by adding HCl, and if red turns to blue, lead is present. But if red colors is retained, barium is present. Next one is the Marshall anti-worry test. It was used to determine the firearm's distance. Both tests are for nitrates. A filter papers were soaked in acetone and pressed on the target. If a deep yellow spot appears, nitrate were present. The last one is the Walker test. It was a chemical test for the presence of nitrates in unburned or partially burned propellants. This test gives the proof valuable information about the range at which the weapon was fired.
So I'm going to discuss the three types of ballistics, which is interior ballistics, exterior ballistics, and terminal ballistics. First, we have interior or internal ballistic, yung branches ng science na nag-aaral tungkol sa mga nangyayari sa loob ng baril habang andun pa sa bala or bullets, bago ito lumabas sa dulo ng baril or muzzle. In simple term, ito ay proseso kung saan nainitan yung gunpowder sa loob. Sasabog ito at itulak yung bala palabas ng barrel. Lahat ng ito ay nangyayari mula sa breech, likod ng baril or hanggang sa muzzle, harapan at dulo ng barrel. Makikita naman dito yung breech, ito yung part ng baril kung saan inilalagay ang bala. While ang land and grooves naman, ito yung mga ukit sa loob ng barrel na tumutulong sa magpaikot ng bala para maging accurate. While the muzzle, ito yung paglabas ng bala sa baril. Ang next illustration naman, yung tao na parang nagpapalipad ng malaking bato at pinapakita yung movement ng projectile mula bridge to muzzle para ma-visualize lang yung concept. Primer ignition, kapag pinindot mo yung trigger, tatama ang firing pin sa primer ng bala. Doon natama may spark or priming mixture sa loob ng primer. Dahil dito, magsisimula na ang apoy. Deflagration, yung apoy mula sa primer ay dadaan sa butas or flash hole papunta sa gunpowder. Mabilis na masusunog ang gunpowder, parang sabay-sabay na pagsabog. Mabilis na 0.0000001 seconds lang. Expansive force and bullet disalignment. Habang nasusunog ang gunpowder, magpo-produce ito ng gas. Yung gas na yon ay mas malakas pa sa puwersa, kaya itutulak palabas ang bala mula sa shell. Case expansion naman is, habang lumalabas ang bala, lumalaki o nag-expand yung cell ng case sa loob ng baril. Ito ay para mas maselyuhan ang likod ng bala, hindi makakatakas ang gas. Ang blowback naman ay minsan may konting gas na tumatakas pa rin. Kahit maliit lang, ang tawag dito ay blowback. Interior ballistic time frame. Gaano nga ba kabilis lahat ng ito? Lahat ng to mula apakan ng gatilyo hanggang sa lumabas ang bala sa dulo ng baril, nangyayari lang ito sa loob ng 0.01 seconds. Ganun siya kabilis. External ballistic. Sinasabi lang dito na pag lumabas ang bala sa baril, hindi na ito diretso lang. Apekto na ito ng gravity, hangin, bilis at direksyon ng ihip ng hangin. Ito ang lahat ng pinag-aaralan sa external ballistics para malaman kung paano talaga kumilos ang bala habang lumilipad papuntang target. Muzzle blast. Ito yung malakas na tunog at liwanag na lumalabas sa dulo ng baril. Kapag pumutok, galing ito sa mainit na gas, mabilis na lumalabas. Next naman is muzzle energy. Ito ang lakas o energy ng bala paglabas nito sa dulo ng baril or muzzle. Sukatan kung gaano ito ka-destructive. Next naman is trajectory. Ito yung kurba or paglipad ng bala parang arko or parabola. Naapekto nito ang gravity, hangin o bilis ng bala. Ang range naman, ito ang layo ng naaabot ng bola mula sa baril hanggang sa target. Next naman is the velocity. Ito ang bilis ng bala, kadalasan sinusukat sa feet per seconds. Habang lumilipad, bumabagal ito dahil sa gravity at hangin. Ang air resistant naman, habang lumilipad ang bala, natatamaan ito ng hangin. Ito ang nagpapabagal, depende sa hugis at bilis ng bala. And lastly, the penetration. Ito ang lalim ng pasok ng bala sa isang bagay o target. Nakadepende sa bilis, hugis, bigat ng bola at kung anong material ang tinamaan. So the third one is terminal ballistics. Ito yung branch ng science na nag-aaral sa effect or apekto ng bala or projectile pag tumama na ito sa target. Para mas malinaw, ito ay nangyayari pagkatapos tumama ng bala kung paano ito naapekto sa target, tao, bagay or So, meron tayo ditong terminal accuracy, terminal energy, terminal penetration, and terminal velocity. First, we're going to discuss the terminal accuracy. Gaano kalaki or kalawak ang tama ng bala sa target or bullet group sa target. Next naman is terminal energy. Yung energy ng bala kapag tumama ito, gaano kalakas ang impact o presa nito sa isang target. Next is terminal penetration. Kung gaano kalalim ang pagpasok or penetration ng bala sa target or object na tinamaan. And lastly, the terminal velocity. Yung bilis ng bala kapag tumama ito sa target or object.
Forensic ballistic is a crucial subfield of forensic science that applies the principles of firearm examination and ballistic to legal investigation. Its primary objective is to link firearms to specific individuals or crimes by analyzing bullets, cartridge casing, gunshot residues, and other ballistic evidence. First is field investigation, conducted by crime scene investigator at the crime scene, focuses on collecting, marking, preserving, packing, and transporting firearm-related evidence. And proper documentation of chain of custody procedures are essential for maintaining the integrity of evidence. And second is the technical examination, performed by specialized forensic ballistic examiner in laboratory setting. Involves the meticulous analysis of collected evidence using various scientific techniques, such as microscopy, chemical analysis, ballistic testing, or test firing. This stage requires expertise in firearm identification, ballistic principles, and scientific methodology. And lastly, the legal proceedings represent the culmination of the forensic ballistic investigation. The examiner present their findings and conclusion in court through written records, exhibits such as photograph, diagrams, and test-fired bullet, expert testimony, answering questions from attorneys and judges to explain their conclusion and clarify technical aspect of forensic ballistic evidence. Wound ballistic delves into fascinating and complex world of projectiles interact with the human body. This field offers critical insight for forensic investigations, medical treatment, and understanding the potential harms of firearm injuries. Characteristic of a wound: entrance wound and the exit wounds. This typically appears as clean, round holes slightly smaller than the bullet's diameter. Exit wound is the appearance of exit wound depends on several factors. If the bullet exists directly opposite the entry point and exit head-on, the exit wound may be smaller than the entry. Bullet fragmentation. If the bullet fragments as it passes through the body, the exit wound can be smaller or larger than the entry, depending on the size and location of the fragments. Angle exit wounds. If the bullet exits the body at an angle of carries fragments of bone, the exit wound can be significantly larger than the entry. Tissue damage. The path of the bullet creates shockwave within the body, causing damage to surrounding tissues. This phenomenon, known as tissue quake, plays a significant role in the overall wound severity. Gunshot wound characteristic. First is muzzle pattern. Indicates contact wounds and are often observed in suicide cases. The hole charge projectiles, wads, if any, smoke, unburned or semi-burned powder particles and hot gases enter into target. No burning, blackening, or tattooing is observed. Instead, they are observed inside the hole through careful examination. Second is scorching, caused by the flame or hot gases, not by the hot projectile, as is commonly believed. It also known as burning or charring. This blackening, caused by deposition of smoke particles by all types of powder at close ranges. Being light particles, they soon lose their velocity and get deposited on any material available in the path. And we have tattooing, caused by the embedding of unburnt and semi-burnt powder particles into the surface of the target. Dirt ring, deposited by some projectile which carry greases on them around the wound. The existence of this indicates the entrance side of firearm injury does not indicate the range. Pink coloration, caused by absorbed carbon monoxide in the skin and flesh.